Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Stitches. I'm your yarn host Jennifer, and today we're doing a crochet possibly slash knit tutorial. And the reason I say that is because this bag that I created, I'm going to open it up for you. I have shown this in the past. If you've been here for a while, you've already seen this bag. It is a drawstring. The drawstring is in there crooked. It's all good. It's all good. I can fix it. Okay, it's just a drawstring bag. This bag is really good for just quick little trips going somewhere. You can use this as a project bag. You can use it as a little beach bag. This perfectly will fit 2 or 3 little beach towels. Not like full beach towels. Like if you're gonna use like a big giant beach towel that you lay on, this will fit like one of those and some extra accessories. I have used this for quite a few things. This is really good for if you got littles to just throw in a couple of diapers and a pack of wipes and maybe a bottle or some snackies and on the go type thing, you know. Very quick, very easy. We're using today Cotton Fair Bulky, and I have 3 skeins. I have 2 solids and a coordinating variegated. We'll talk about that in a minute to make this bag. The bag has a squared off bottom. Let me show you how to make that. It has a lip or a ridge completely for an aesthetic. It is not, it doesn't do anything special, but it has a nice little, it defines the bottom from the sides. So it kind of keeps the bottom on the bottom and the sides going upward. And then very easy. This panel is half double crochets exclusively. This panel I am going to knit on mine. However, you guys can do single crochet. Matter of fact, you can do half double crochet in that panel. You can do double crochet in that panel. You can do whatever stitch you want in that panel. I'm doing knit because I feel like it really brings out the watercolor effect of this yarn. You don't have to. You can do single crochet very easily. I will give you that option. However, in the tutorial, I'm going to tell you that you can continue and do single crochets in this section when we change to the variegated, but I am going to do knit. If you don't know how to knit, if you have no intention of ever learning how to knit, it is okay. Just change to single crochet, whatever stitch you want in that section. And then when we move to the last panel, we're going to have 2 rows of star stitch in between some half double crochets. I'm going to show you how to make the section for the drawstring. I'm going to show you how to do a border on the top, and I'm going to show you how to do this lay flat handle, which I really like this. So the handle is completely laid flat on the project bag, or the bag, whatever you call it. It's just a handle that's it just looks like part of the bag, okay? It's completely flat. When you pull the drawstrings, however, it becomes a handle, and you can carry it around. You can slip it on your arm. For smaller people, it might go all the way up. I don't know, but it doesn't on mine, but that's okay. It's just a handle, so you can grab it, carry it, or you can hang it over a hook. You can hang these from the S hooks on a stroller. You can hang these from the cup holders that are sometimes on shopping carts. You know, you hang it wherever you need to hang it from. Hang it from your doorknob. I do that quite frequently. There are bags on doorknobs all throughout the house. So I really like that. It's a lay flat handle. So we're going to make this bag today. I already have everything ready. What you're going to need is 3 balls of the Cotton Fair Bulky. If you cannot get this yarn where you live, because I've had a lot of people say that they are overseas and they do not have access to Premier yarns, this is a bulky number 5. It is a cotton acrylic blend. So if you can find a bulky number 5 or a really thick bulky yarn that is a cotton acrylic blend, that is what works best for this bag. I really like this yarn because it has some stretch to it, but it so far is keeping its shape, and that's because of the mixture of the acrylic and the cotton. It is keeping its shape. It's not stretching out too much. However, it will stretch some so you fit more stuff in there, but it's not gonna overstretch out like some bags that I have made in the past. And that's what I really like about this pattern. I am also using a K hook. This recommends a 6.5 millimeter hook. I believe K is 6.5 millimeter. use what works best for you. If you want the stitches to be denser or tighter, use a little bit of a smaller hook. You might struggle with the stitches a little bit because it'll be tight, but it will give you a more structured bag. But for me, this hook is going to work just fine. It's what I used last time. It gives me just enough structure and just enough stretchiness for the way that I like it. Of course, the knit panel is like super stretchy because that's common with knit. But if you're doing a single crochet pattern, it will be even more rigid, more held together, less stretchy. So yeah, that's what we need. And if you're going to do the knit panel, you need some circulars that kind of are the same size or around the same size as your crochet hook. I crochet much looser than I knit, or no, I knit much looser than I crochet. So I usually go down a size in my knitting needle. So if I'm using like a 6.5 hook, I will go down a size and maybe use like a 5.5 millimeter needles. I have no idea what size these needles are because there's no markings on them, but they look about right. And it's a bag. I mean, we're not going for gauge. It's just a bag. If like it looks too funky, we can always switch out needles later on, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think those needles are going to work just fine. So let's go down to the table and let's get started on this tutorial. I'm so excited, guys. So, funny story. Not so funny. Not so funny. I mean, so my phone kind of ran out of memory and deleted the part of the tutorial where I showed you how to do this part. So we're going to jump back to the burgundy on the bottom. However, I'm going to show you how to do the setup row in the turquoise. So if you see the turquoise first, and then we jump and we're working with the what is it, fuchsia, you'll know why. Because I messed up and the file got deleted. My battery, or my memory on my phone was full because I've been taking a lot of video and pictures because there's people here and it's 4th of July and all that good stuff. And so what happened was my phone decided to run out of memory and then deleted the file it was recording when it ran out of memory. So I'll recap. Hopefully I remember everything that I told you in the first video that got deleted. I'm using this hook. It's a K hook. I have my knitting needles here. I have my handy dandy flamingo scissors. We are going to start with a slip knot. Slip knot, yes. I don't even know at this point. My brain is turning off. There are also a lot of people in the house, so you're going to hear lots of noise in the background. We're going to create a slip knot. We are going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, across here in the 5 stitches, the end stitches will be the corners. We're going to start to create the corners. So we're going to have increases. We're going to crochet this side around the corner, this side around the corner, and then we're going to start working kind of in the round, although it's going to be in the rectangle, not the round. So over the next 3 stitches, we're going to put a single crochet. This is just our setup row, because after this row, we're going to be working a half double. So we're going to put 3 single crochets. Now we're at the stitch with the knot in it. We're going to put 3 single crochets in that stitch, and we're going to crochet over the top of this. So 1, 2, and 3 in that very end stitch. And then now we're on the bottom side. So now we're going to put 3 single crochets across the bottom 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. And now we are at the end. And I know this looks funky. There's a stitch here in the end. Just find it and put 3 single crochets down here at the bottom. If you can't find the stitch, just put it anywhere. It doesn't really matter because we're going to be working around and around. This is just a setup row. You just need to make sure that you have 3 on this end and 3 on this end. Now when we come back around this row, we are going to once again put 3 single crochets across this row. Whoop, if I can get it in. I can't get it in. All right. So 1, 2, nope, back it up. That's not a single crochet. Now, I know I'm confused with myself. I'm so flustered because I lost that video. When you come around and you put the 3 single crochets on the end, we're going to switch to half double crochets. So we are going to do 3 half double crochets across this row. 1, 2, and 3. Now we've gotten to the end where we have those 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3. In the first of the 3, we're going to put 3 half double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. And in the second of those 3 stitches of the previous row, we're just going to put 1 single crochet, or not, 1 half double crochet. And then in the stitch directly next to that, the third of the 3 stitches we put on the end, we're going to put 3 more half double crochets. Now the reason that we're doing this is we're creating the corners, okay? Because it's going to be a rectangle. So where we put the 3 originally here, now we have 3 here and 3 here. These are going to be our corners. So in the middle of those 3, that's going to be our increases. That's going to be where our corners are created. Okay. So now we're going this way across the rectangle, and we're going to put 3 half double crochets across the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Now we got to the other end where the 3 single crochets were. The first of the single crochets, we're going to put 3 half double crochets in that stitch. 1, 2, 3. In the second of those 3 single crochets, we are going to put a half double, just 1 half double. And then in the third of those 3, we're going to put 3 half doubles. Okay, so now we're at the beginning of the row again. All right, we are going to repeat what I'm going to show you in this row. We're going to just repeat it until we have 10 rows. This is 5 or 6 rows. We're going to repeat this until we have 10 rows, okay? So now we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 half double crochets across this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're at where those 3 half doubles are. So we need to put 3 half doubles in the second of those 3 half doubles. I'll give you a better visualization so you can see. So we have the 3 single crochets, right? So we put the half double, see, and I can't even. This is why I keep the mistakes in, because let's just go 3 half doubles, okay? So in the middle stitch, we're going to create 3 more like that. And that's going to build our corner. It's going to create a squared off effect like that. And then as we go along here, every one of these sides will increase by 2 stitches. So if you have 5 here, the next row you will have 7. The next row you'll have 9, and so forth. Same thing here. The first row you'll have 3, the next row you'll have 5, then you'll have 7. And the extra stitches will be on the corners. You'll have, every corner will have 3 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets, 3 half double crochets, and that's going to create the corner. This side will always be longer than this side. These 2 rows should have the same stitch count. So if there's 7 here, there should be 7 here. And these 2 will have the same. So if there's 5 here, there should be 5 here. Okay? I hope that is understandable, because I'm confusing myself at this point. All right, and then this side row is just 1, wait, hang on, 1, 2, and 3 half double crochets on the short end. And then we're at the corner, so we're going to put 3 half double crochets in that corner stitch. 2, 3. And if you get confused and you are having a hard time seeing the stitches or recognizing the stitches, when you're working this one, just put like a stitch marker where the second one is of the 3. Now we're back to the long end, so there should be 5 half doubles. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're in the corner, so we need to put 3 half doubles in that corner. And we're back to the short end, so there should be 3 half doubles. Back to the corner, we'll put 3 half doubles in the corner stitch. 2, 3. Just keep doing that until you reach 10 rows. I'm going to do one more row with you, and then I'm going to switch back to my bigger, and I'm going to get that to be 10 rows because I'm almost there. All right, so now we're back at starting. This is our first row. You're not really going to be able to tell which is your first row. I mean, there's kind of a, because this is the first chains that we created, there's kind of a weird funkiness that should tell you you're starting the new row up here. But if you can't tell, it's not a big deal. And if your stitch count is slightly off from mine, that also is not a big deal. You just want this row and this row to be the same stitches, this row and this row to be the same stitches, and always increase on your corners with 3 half double crochets. Stitch count does not matter. It's the bottom of the bag. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to go counting your stitches. Okay? So you just create your side panel, your longer side panel, till you get to the corners. And then when you get to the corner, you just put 3 half doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Do the same thing here. Create your side panel. And I'm not even counting at this point. I'm just crocheting my half doubles till I get 2. See, here's the 3. You want to go right here where that second one is and put your increase for the corners. Okay. 1, 2, 3. See, there's our corners. They're kind of rounded corners. That's not going to matter when we get to the end, because this will give us more of the squared off look when we get to the part where we put the ridge in. So right now, this is looking kind of like, you know, a little bit wonky. The more you go, the more it kind of like evens itself out. The funky knot there where it looks like some of the strings broke, but some of them did not. We're going to ignore it. All right. We're going to keep going until we get to the corner. And then put our 3 half doubles. 1, 2, 3. Now we're at our shorter end. And if it puckers a little bit in the middle, it just does. It's not a big deal. So now we're going to go across there. And this is the top of the beginning row is up here. So then I will go back to, and I will frog this because I don't need this part. And I will go back to the pink one since I messed up so bad. I blame my phone. almost there. Half doubles till we get to the corner, which is this stitch right here. See the 3, 1, 2, 3. Then we'll put our 3, 2, 3. That's our corner. That's the end of that row and the beginning of the next one. If you just stretch out your corners a little bit, you should be able to see that you mostly have a rectangle. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this one and work on this one. Because, yeah, jump cut. All right, so this is where I was when my phone so rudely interrupted me. I am going to continue this to count your rows. You find the center seam right here. So we're going to count up this way. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. I have 5 more to go. I'm going to do that on my own because I think you guys pretty much have this. So I'm going to pause here. I will meet you at the end of 10 rows, and then I will show you how to do the ridge and how to create the side. Okay, I am at the 9th row, so we're going to do the 10th row together. This is what it looks like. Now, when I'm up and moving it and I try to lay it flat, this part does pucker. It's the bottom of the bag. It's not a big deal. So you just lay it flat. You rub it kind of with your hand, smooth it out. Grab your corners and pull them out as you go to make sure that it is rectangular. And so this will be our 10th row. We're going to work it together. We're just continue in the same fashion that we have done all the previous rows. We're going to do half double crochet across each corner, or across each long side and short side, and then in the corners we do the 3 half double crochets to create the corner or the squared type shape, rectangular shape, if you will. Cruising right along now that we're back on track, and our battery is, well, wasn't a battery issue, it was a memory issue. I had to empty the garbage on my phone because there was way too many things in the recycling bin. I didn't even know my phone had a recycling bin until today. We are back on track. Guess who's back? Back again. Jenny's back. Tell your friends. We're crocheting, we're crocheting, we're crocheting. And we're at the corner, so we're going to do our increase at the corner. I stopped counting stitches after like the 3rd row. I just go. It doesn't matter. Stitch count don't matter. I know some people cannot do this without stitch count. If you have to count your stitches, that is perfectly okay too. It's all good in the neighborhood. The next row is going to be a little bit different because we are not going to continue crocheting in this fashion. We are going to create a ridge, but we are going to do it in a new and exciting way that I have not shown on this channel previously. Oh, I just looked out the window. It looks like it's going to storm. Yeah, my plants need to be watered. It's all good. Kind of hope it does storm. It's one of those days where I just want to sit and crochet and listen to the rain. Corner. I reach the corner. I'm going to do my increase. 2 and 3. Turn the corner. See how it's all crazy looking now that I picked it up. So if yours looks crazy looking, you're in good company. It'll all work out then. Don't worry about it. It all works out in the end. Now this bag is going to be floppy enough that you can throw it anywhere, shove it in a drawer, shove it in a basket. To store it, do whatever you need. It is not going to stand on its own. And if you see pictures of this where it's standing on its own, it's because I put a cardboard lining in it so that it stood up, so that it looks like an actual bag. So, You know, as a little bit of crochet styling magic, you gotta sometimes put something hard in there to make it look like it's more than just a floppy bag. But this is very much a floppy bag. Oops, slid right out. Go right to the corner. Put our 3 half double crochet, increase. I like the half double crochet for this just because it's a pretty sturdy stitch for something like this. I mean, single crochet would be even more sturdier, so if you wanted to do this in all single crochets, you could. I hate working in all single crochets though. I prefer half double crochet. It makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere faster. You can also change this to double crochets if you don't care if it's extra floppy, because I find double crochets to be a little bit more floppy. But obviously you're going to have to take into consideration, like if you're doing all single crochet rows, you're probably going to have to do 15 rows instead of 10. If you're doing double crochets, you're probably going to do like 6 or 7 rows instead of 10. But I will give you an idea of the measurement of this bag. When I get to the end of the row, I'm going to have to stand up and grab my tape measure. Now, when we get to the end of the row, we're still going to put our increase. So we have made it to the end of the row. This is the last of the 10 rows. I'm still going to put my 3 half double, increase. Then I'm going to slip stitch in the first stitch of that row just to close it off a little bit. Let me grab my tape measure. Oh, it's right here. It was right there. I didn't even have to get up. It's just on the other side of the yarn. Stretch it, pull it, rub it, get it to lay flat. Pull your corners out. It is about 10 inches across on the long side. And it is about 9 inches on the short side. So it's not incredibly rectangular, but just slightly rectangular. So now here is where it is going to get a little bit weird. Okay. We're going to change the way we are crocheting. We are now no longer going to crochet, well, for the next row anyway. The next row, we're going to crochet around the posts of the half double crochet. And then when we do the sides, we're going to work on the top part where we normally put our stitches. So we put the slip stitch in here. I'm going to get you real close so you can see exactly what we're doing. Each one of these bump things is the half double crochet stitch. We are going to put our crochet hook through the hole and around the stitch, pull up a loop, and single crochet. Okay, we're going to do this all the way around. This is going to create that ridge on the bottom. Okay, every stitch all the way around. Whoops. I'm looking through the camera, so it's harder for me to see what I'm doing. And then single crochet. And see how it kind of brings this ridge up here. Now when we do our next row, we're going to have to flip it and still find the stitches here to work into, which is going to be a little bit difficult, but we can do this. It's not so hard. So you go around the entire stitch, pull up a loop, and single crochet. And we're going to do this all the way around. You rewatch that part as many times as you need to. You slow it down. There are options on YouTube to slow the video down. Just until you get it, because this is going to be really easy to some of you. This is going to be really confusing to others of you. And it's going to be okay no matter what. So see when you lay that flat. The camera's shifting on me. See how when you lay that flat, now the stitches are pointing this way instead of this way. See? There's a total ridge there. Like that. And then we do the next row, we're going to have to work in right there. Okay? You're going to do this all the way around. We are not increasing on the edges. We are just going to, when we get to the corner, you're going to wrap around all 3 of those stitches and just go around. Don't worry, I'll show you when we get there. Let me lift my camera back up and back out of the way so I can actually see what I'm doing. I'm just going to continue doing those around the post. So this is single crochet around the post. All the way around. And it just creates this really nice little ridge. There's lots of ways to create a ridge like this. You can crochet in the 3rd loop of a half double crochet and get a ridge. There's lots of ways to go around, but for this pattern, the way we did it, we need to go around the post so that we still have a really nice defined set of loops to work into to create the sides of the bag. Because now this ridge we're creating is pushing forward, but it's taking those other stitches and pushing them backwards, which is creating the wall for the sides of the bag. So see, I got to the corner. Let me pull back a little bit. I got to the corner. This is our 3 half double increase. I went around the post to the first one, go around the post to the second one, go around the post to the 3rd one. We're not increasing. We're not doing anything spectacular. We're just crocheting around the entire perimeter of the posts of the previous row. See how it automatically curved itself around? Easy peasy. No big deal. You're going to keep going around. And if you find that anything is puckering or anything, just loosen up the way you're single crocheting. Because if you single crochet too tight, you could get puckering. But this will also help to reinforce the rectangular or square shape that we created. It will help to pull out the corners a little bit, because now they're like, you know, locked in with these stitches. But this bottom part, this middle part is just going to pucker. It's not a big deal. It's just going to pucker. But again, it's the bottom of the bag. Nobody's going to look at the bottom of the bag. And after stretching out and putting stuff in there, eventually that will just be less, I don't know. It may pucker even more, but it'll be less noticeable, because it'll eventually stretch to a more bag-like shape. Now I'm back to the corner again, and we're just going to not increase. We're going to keep going around the posts. Make sure you're separating those 3 stitches, so there's 3 different stitches. The ridge. That's going to be the wall. That's what it should look like. Just keep going, and I will meet you at the end of this row. Okay, I am approaching the beginning of the row. we're going to do something weird here, and it's going to seem odd. This is something I just figured out how to do. We're going to continue to the very end of the row where we started the ridge stitch here. Make sure you get around those 3 on the corner. Okay. So I know it looks weird because we gathered it around here and came up this way, but our first wrap stitch is over here past the 3 of the corner increase, the 3 half doubles of the corner increase. So once you do the 3 stitches in the corner, that was 1, here's 2, and there's 3. Whoop. Okay, now we are going to slip stitch in the stitch that we crocheted around first. This doesn't have to be in the exact spot, but we're going to slip stitch there, okay? Pull out so you have a little bit of room. All right, this is what it should look like. It's going to curl in a little bit until we put our walls in, and then the walls will pull it back. Now, what I'm going to do is flip it over. So now the ridge is on the bottom of the bag. The bottom, it's facing your table, your stomach, whatever. It's facing downward, okay? And right where this stitch is joined in, you're going to go down in through from the top to the underneath and grab the loop. And you're going to pull it up. If I can grab it, you're going to pull it up through the bottom. Okay? Pull it tight here. Now, what we're going to do, this is the ridge on the bottom. We're going to make sure that we are working this set of stitches here. Okay? So this is the flat part of the bag. I'm going to turn it slightly. Here's the ridge stitch. We're going to work on these stitches right along the edge. Say if you flip it over, you see the ridge stitch there. It's right here. So the stitches are actually facing this way. See? If you lay it flat, the stitches are facing that way. So you got to rotate it slightly. We're going to be working in those stitches, okay? So I'm actually going to be working backwards back towards the corner we just finished. We gotta make sure we find the right stitches, which right here in the corner is a little bit confusing. See how that looks all crazy. It's not gonna matter too much. Just try to grab the right stitches. And if you don't grab the right stitches, it will work out in the end. We are going to slip stitch through here, chain 1, half double crochet in that same stitch we just pulled through. And then continue around. We are not doing corner stitches anymore. We are just going around this first row in those stitches to pull them up. We are on the inside of the bag. Don't worry, we're going to flip back around and we're going to crochet the opposite direction when we get there, but don't worry about that right now. We're going to half double crochet in these stitches all the way around. No corner, we're just crocheting in the round. So if you're looking at it flat where the stitches are going that way, just try to go in this hole here. You can, if you go in there, you're going to hit the ridge. So this right here through to get this V stitch right here. Both of those loops. Okay. If you guys want to skip that part and you don't like the ridge part, if that's scary to you, confusing to you, you can skip it. It's not a big deal. You just won't have as defined difference between the wall of the bag and the base of the bag. I didn't realize I was way off camera. I'm just half double crocheting around, creating the wall. No increases, just a half double crochet in every stitch. So I got to the corner here. Those stitches kind of want to be tight in together, but they'll be fine. Did I go in the right section of holes? No, I went in down too far. There's the wall. There's the ridge. There's the base, the floor of the bag. And all of these little steps together help to flatten out the floor of the bag a little more. Now, another thing you can do if you want the floor of the bag when you're finished, you want that to be more sturdy, you can put plastic canvas squared, cut it to the size, and put that in the bottom. You can sew it to the bottom. You can cover it in fabric and tack it to the bottom. And that will give you a very sturdy base to this bag. I don't have plastic canvas big enough to fit in the bottom of this bag, and I'm not really worried about it. Because I like floppy bags. I like bags that I can bundle up, like crumple up, and throw in something else when I'm done with it. I don't like bags that take up a whole lot of room, that need to be hung up. Not that kind of girl. We'll just continue putting your half double crochets around this base till you get to the beginning of the row. When you get to the beginning of the row, we're going to slip stitch to join, and then we're going to work back. Because now what we're looking at is the inside, the bottom of the bag. We're going to reverse it and crochet back the other direction so that we're actually looking at the outside of the bag when we crochet. But doing it this way is just a little bit easier for me anyway, to see those stitches and pull those stitches back upward where they need to be. Because you're stitching them backwards, you're pulling them upright more. It was tight right there. This stitch was tight. So was that one. I hope you guys are enjoying this bag. I always second guess myself when I'm making tutorials. Like, are you making any sense? Am I speaking gibberish? Is it clear enough, the directions? That's my anxiety telling me, you're an idiot. You're not talking right. People don't understand you. Oof, my arm's hurting. Okay, I only have one side left to go. We're rounding this corner. And we have one side left to go. Little man, I know you can hear him. He's loud. He has been an absolute angel this week with the kids being here. I mean, he doesn't know how to interact with a baby. Especially a baby that doesn't really, interact back a whole lot. She'll smile at you, but she's only 5 months old. She'll laugh a little bit. But for a 7-year-old, he's like, nah, I'm good. But him and baby girl, who is 4 now, they are just so sweet together. They're hugging and cuddling on the couch and like playing games together. And he keeps turning on Lori Berkner for her. Lori Berkner is a kids folk artist. She is amazing. She's been around for 18 years in my family, since my oldest niece was a baby. Every kid that's been in my house has danced to Lori Berkner. He keeps turning it on for her and dancing with her. It's just the cutest, sweetest thing ever. He's been so good and patient and sharing, and it's just been really, really neat to watch. So if you hear that, that's what's going on in the background. All right, so I'm to the corner. I'm going to put in my last stitch here. And then I'm going to slip stitch here in that first half double crochet to join, right? I'm going to redo that because I didn't realize I was off camera. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to see under the camera. I put the last stitch in right here. I'm going to slip stitch to join here. And chain one, and I'm going to flip my work. You know, you're not going to flip your work any other time. But now we're going to be working with the outside of the bag facing us instead of the inside of the bag facing us. It should start to stand up on its own like that. The ridge is down here. This is the wall of the bag. That's the floor of the bag. This is what it should look like. And see how I haven't really had to press it so much. Like it's kind of wanting to lay flatter now. It's wanting to stand up on its own now. That lump is just always going to be there. It's not a big deal. And we are now just going to continue for, let me double check the size, 9 more rows of half double crochet. So do exactly what we did here. I'll show you how to get this started. We're not doing increases on the corners. I'm going to half double crochet in every single stitch all the way around for 9 rows. 9 more rows. So there will be 10 full rows on the walls. So from the ridge up, you'll have 1, 2, and then count to 10. And then I will meet you back here because you don't need to see me do another 10 rows of half double crochet. I will see you here. We are going to do the next panel. The next panel for me is going to be knit. I dropped my soda bottle on the floor. I'm going to show you guys how to do this very simply. If you want to continue on and you're not doing the knitting section, you can do just attach your secondary color, your variegated. You can do single crochets here. You can continue with half double crochets here if you want. I think the single crochet will probably look a little bit better in this section. It will give you more of the knit look to it. So that's what I'm going to suggest to you. Just attach and put a single crochet in every row. My next part will be the knit section. You can continue on and you can do this. This section in knit is about 4.5 inches. If you're doing single crochet, I would aim for about 4 inches, 4.5 inches from single crochet as well, just so that you have a little bit left over for trim and the handle. Because single crochet takes up a lot more yarn than this, but this panel should be about 4.5 inches, either single crochet or knit. But I will meet you at the end of the purple section, at the end of the 10 rows up the side, and I'll see you then. I'm back because I totally forgot to tell you guys, do not slip stitch to join any of the other rows. So I came to the end of my row, and what you're going to do is you're going to, instead of slip stitch to join, you are going to just half double crochet in the top of the first slip stitch of that row and just continue around. Do not slip stitch to join. We're just working completely in the round. Just go round and round and round. And now that you did that, there's no start or end of the row. So you're going to easily be able to tell where the end or the beginning of the row is, because you're going to have a weird little divot there where the ridge on the bottom connected. So you're going to be able to tell that that's your corner, that's the beginning and end of the row, so that you should count from there up when you have 10 rows. But I just remembered that I forgot to tell you, don't slip stitch to join here. Just continue crocheting in the round, the half double crochets. Okay? All right, I'll meet you at the end. Okay, so I am not quite at 10 rows, but I am just about out of yarn. So I'm going to say this. If you get towards the end and you don't have 10 rows, it's not a big deal. I did also take off about 12 feet. This is about a 12-foot strand. And the reason I did that is because I want my drawstring to be this color. If you don't want your drawstring to be this color, you will have more of the multicolored left than I think the other two yarns. But like whatever one you want to use for the drawstring, the multicolored or the top color, pull off about 12 feet and set that aside. That is going to be your drawstring for later on. I already pre-cut that. I am not going to make it to 12 rows. I am at, or not 12. I'm not going to make it to 10 rows. I'm not even sure that I'm going to make it to 9 rows. But I am just going to go ahead and crochet until I run out of this yarn. Excuse me, my throat. I am going to crochet till I run out of this first color. And that's why I like this bag, because if you don't want scraps left over, you can actually keep crocheting, or you make the bag bigger and keep crocheting until you run out of yarn and you will have 0 scraps left. My bag, because I'm going by measurements, I'm trying to recreate the first bag, I'm going to have scraps of the multicolored and the top color. But like I said, you can use them all up if you want and just make a taller bag. Okay, so now I'm at the end of my string. Got a couple more stitches I can get in. And this will get me just to about 9 rows of the side panel. The amount of rows does not really matter because, like I said, it's a bag. So when I get to the end, actually when I get to about 4 inches left, I am going to put a single crochet in. And then I will slip stitch it here in the next stitch. And then I will tie it off so that it's mostly flat here. And see, we're not at the corner. We didn't even make it all the way around. It doesn't really matter. And now we can cast on the middle color. Now I'm going to show you how you can do this in single crochet if you don't knit. If you do knit or want to try knitting, you can also follow along with that aspect. I'm going to do a small section of single crochet to show you how to do this. And then I am going to frog that, and then I'm going to show you how I'm going to knit this panel, because I like the knit panel. I think it adds a little detail that, like, a lot of people aren't doing it. They're not doing knit and crochet together. And I was like, if I can do it, why not do it? Okay, so for the exclusive crocheters, the people that don't knit, don't want to knit, we're perfectly good. I'm not trying to make anybody try to do stuff they don't want to do. We are once again going to slip knot that. Now we're going to go back to where the single crochet is, or 1 or 2 stitches back, so that this will lay flatter. You can even go back to like several inches, but what you want to do is get it back far enough so that you're not starting here, so there's not like a weird like a line there. Okay, so I'm going back to where the single crochet is. I'm going to slip stitch to join, chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, and all the stitches. See, this is a slip stitch, so you're going to have to go back to where we slip stitched in and skip that stitch, and then continue on just doing single crochets in the round, exactly like we have been doing the half double crochets. And trust me, it's going to be beautiful whether you do single crochets or whether you do a knit panel, because this yarn is so lusciously watercolory. I believe someone said when I showed the bag that this reminded them of the painting Iris, which it totally does. This one's a little more bold, but it's very beautiful. It's very watercolor-esque. It is just, I think it's so pretty. So you just single crochet in every stitch all the way around. That's what that will look like. It will be just as beautiful. Knit, crochet, does not matter. So when you come around here, you're just going to, once again, put your single crochet here and then put a single crochet on top of here and continue in the round until you have 4 or 4.5 inches of the multicolored panel. Now, I'm not doing that. I'm going to knit. So, the way that I'm going to do this is switch over to my needles. Now, I do this a little different too. This is not anything anyone taught me. This is something that I came up with on my own. So if you don't do it this way, it's cool. Attach your yarn how you normally attach if you're going to knit. For me, again, I'm going back to that single crochet. I am going to hold my string down here. I'm going to reach in and pull up. This is always like awkward to me doing this very first one. Okay, you pull up a loop. You make sure it's on there. Now, hold the two of them together. You want a tail of about 2 inches there. Hold the two of them together. Go into the next. Pull up a loop using both of those strands, if I can. If I can. And if you need to come in with your crochet hook and pull up that second loop, you can do this too. That's what I'm going to do for this one because it's a little tight in there. Pull up a loop. Switch it over to your needles. Make sure you're through both loops. All right. Make sure that is pulled a little bit tight. Then do it one more stitch where you pull up both of those strands. That just helps lock that in. It helps to, keep everything where it's supposed to be. And then continue picking up stitches in all of the loops. I'm not using my favorite Chigu needles, and these are a little bit cumbersome to work with. My camera is shifting on me. So just go in like where you're going to crochet, pull up a loop, okay, go in, pull up a loop, go in, pull up a loop. You see how I'm wrapping it? I'm going underneath the yarn, wrapping it around, grabbing it, and pulling it up through. Okay. Wrapping. And you can use your finger. So if you're wrapping it here, use your finger on the tip to make sure it doesn't slide off the end. Pull it up. Okay. Or come in with your crochet hook if that's difficult. Pull up a loop. Transfer. Pull up a loop, transfer. Doesn't matter to me, however you do it. I'm going to pull my camera back a little bit so I can see what I'm doing once again. Because when the camera's real close like that, I cannot see around the stitches, and then I have to look through the camera, which is very difficult to crochet while looking through the camera. You want to make sure that these stitches are loose enough that you're not going to be fighting them in the next row. So if these are super tight, there's no way in heck you're going to be able to knit in the next row when it comes around. So you just got to make sure that you are loosey-goosey. Everything is sliding real easily. Okay. If your stitches are sliding too easily, you might want to switch to a wooden hook or a wooden set of needles. Wooden needles tend to grip the yarn a little bit better than like my Chigus. It slides a lot on the Chigu. I knit much better with the Chigu though because I need the extra slipperiness. We're just going to keep going around. This first row is going to be the most difficult. This is going to be the most time consuming. It is going to be the most cumbersome. This is going to be the one that's probably going to frustrate you if you're not used to doing this. Because this is not a lot of people do this. Not a lot of people cast on knitting to crochet. we're just gonna work together and get these looped in. I am not loving these needles at all. I really should have found I think my Chigus are upstairs in my side table drawer. That's what it should look like for this first row. You want to make sure though you have cords long enough that it's not going to slide out on that end. I am going to pause here and I'm going to continue to struggle with this row. The reason I'm showing you guys me struggling, because if you are struggling, you're not alone. I'm struggling too. This first row always gives me a little bit of problem. And I'm really not happy with these needles. I don't like the way they're feeling. Also, when you're doing it, this is going to fold over like when we did the ridge stitch. Because we're kind of working through the post again. I mean, not really, but kinda. So you're going to have a little ridge on the inside. That's normal. So, all right, I'm going to pause. I'm going to fight my way back around to the beginning of that row. And then I will show you how to knit this in the round. Okay, so we are almost to the end. I'm going to put in my last couple of pickup stitches. I'm going to pick up my last couple of stitches. It went much faster after I turned off the camera, amazingly enough. Now, we are going to start knitting in the round. You are not going to do anything fancy except knitting in the round. See how we have this stitch and we have that stitch. So, they're close together. Now, what we're going to do from here on out, see, and this little tail tells us that that's the beginning of our rows. In case we ever get confused, we know that that's the beginning of the row. Now, keep in mind, the very first stitch was just a loop. The next 2 stitches was 2 yarns held together. So we have to make sure we grab both of those loops with our needles. There's 2 loops there and 2 loops there. That's going to be 1 stitch and 1 stitch. Now, if you're an old pro, you're a knitter, you've been knitting for a while, you're going to understand what I'm talking about a lot easier than someone who's just trying to learn to knit for the sake of this bag. Okay, so I'm going to go slow for the first couple ones. Now that we have reached the beginning row, we are just going. I knit continental Russian style. You can knit normal style, which would look like this. Go in this way, you wrap the yarn, and you pull it back through. Okay. I don't knit like that. I find that way slower, especially since I just split the yarn. The way that I knit is I knit through the back loop. Okay, so I got to make sure I go through both of those loops, grab the yarn, use the tip against the hook to pull through. Okay, then you just you just knit your first stitch. Again here, I have to grab both of these because that's how we locked in where we cast on, where we joined, and pull up, and I just knit another knit. This you can just weave in later. It's not a big deal. So that's how I knit, like that. And we are just going to keep doing this round and round in circles until we have about 4 inches. So once again, through the middle towards the back. Wrap that around, use the needle to push against there, pull through, pull it off. Okay, that's just knitting through the back loop, Russian style. There's no need to rush, even though it's Russian style. No rushing here. Slow it down. And you just keep going and keep going until you have a 4-inch panel. It's that simple. So I'm going to let you watch me for a few minutes, and then I will pause the video. I'm also going to say this because I get asked a lot about my knitting. I struggled for 2 full years learning to knit. I could not get the idea of knitting. It was very, very hard for me. So if you struggle with the idea of knitting, you're not alone. I'm going to dim that just a little bit. It looked a little bright. It wasn't until I stopped watching videos, because I watched hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. It wasn't until I stopped watching the videos, because all of the videos were very traditional knitting style. And there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever works for you, works for you. There's no judgment on this channel. Oh, I totally missed a stitch, a piece of that stitch. Until I put the needles down and I really thought about what I needed to do, and I started just playing with it to get a feel for it, because I cannot wrap the yarn this way with my dominant hand. I have to hold the yarn as if I'm crocheting, and I have to knit through the back loop. It's just easier for me. And I have been criticized so many times on this channel for the way I knit. And the reason that I talk about it is because I guarantee if I don't bring it up and tell you guys that this is the way that works for me, someone will interject and say, well, you're doing it wrong. Because it has happened every time I have not mentioned this. It's not wrong. It's just different than the way that you do it. And if you guys knit differently than me, that is cool too. Like, we all have to figure our own way. We have to find our own way, what works for us. Our brains are all different. We are compiled differently. We learn differently. We have different learning styles. There are some people, my kids, for example, okay, my kids, my nieces included, very, very different people. And they all have different learning styles. One of my kids is a very visual learner. They have to see it demonstrated. One of my children are very analytical, and they have to have it explained or lectured to them. I cannot, if you lecture something to me, my brain turns off and I start hearing like the Charlie Brown parents. That confuses the heck out of me. But if I'm watching like a video, for example, I can more easily understand what they're trying to say. So we're all different learners. We all have different hands, different brains. And yeah. The wonderful thing about knitting in the round is the same thing with the crochet in the round. There's no stitches to keep track of. There's no, there's not a beginning and an end to the row. So you just continuously do this same thing over and over again. Whoops. Missed a part of that stitch again. You just do that over and over again till you have the size panel that you need. And as always, stitch count doesn't really matter. As long as you're not adding a bunch of stitches or taking away a bunch of stitches. You got to make sure that your stitches are split apart like that. That one wants to confuse people because it wanted to join its friend. Just make sure that they're split open so you can see, you know, one stitch for every loop that is on your knitting needles. My hands are killing me with this knitting. Whew. See here where we can see that there's stitches below? That's the beginning of our row. We also have our tail here to remind us that that's the beginning of the row. And all you do at the end of this row and the beginning of that one is just keep going. You just keep knitting around. Round and around and around we go. When we get to 4 inches or 4.5 inches, that's when we stop. There, guys. See? Look at that. Just keep on going. Right through. There's no join there. There's no line there. There's no nothing. You just keep going. See? That is what it should look like at this point. Looks like we missed another. Let's fix that because that's going to drive me nuts. We missed a little piece of this. Oh no, that's the string from prior. We'll cut that. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Just keep going around. stop at 4.5 inches, and I will show you how to cast off. All right, we got to about 4 inches. I mean, it's not exactly 4 inches. And my hands are hurting so bad crocheting or knitting this part up, so we're just going to quit at just about 4 inches. So now it's time to cast off. And then we're going to attach the crochet after this. Now, if you single crocheted, you had it easy because you were probably done a long time ago. But this is how I cast off. So I knit that one, then I knit that one, and then I knit these two together. If I can get through all the stitches, I knit them together. And then I knit the next one, and I knit those two together. Then I knit the next one, and I knit those two together. You're just going to do this all the way around. It's not super difficult. But once again, much like the cast on row, if you're not used to doing this, it's going to feel awkward and it's going to take some time. Just take time, be patient. You just knit the next one and then knit those two together that are on your hook. And then eventually you'll get a space here. See, that's what it looks like cast off. We are going to treat these as if they were just another crocheted stitch, and we're just gonna crochet them just like we did the previous row before the knit. We're going to move on to half double crochets. So just continue doing this. See if I can actually stay on camera this time. Knit the next one, knit those two together. Knit the next one, knit those two together. Knit the next one. And every once in a while you'll see me jerk my finger back a little bit like that. That's just controlling the tension of the yarn so that these stitches, because even though they're bigger, they look fluffier. If I didn't pull back, it would be tight. So example, when I knit, and then when I knit the two together, I make sure that's tight. Pull those together. And then you pull that to make sure it's tighter on here. You don't want it super tight where it's like choking the needle, but you want it tight enough so that that stitch is not like really fat and puffy. So we're just going to keep doing this till we get to the last 2 stitches, which will be this stitch right here and the stitch that we're working on. This is what it should look like. This is what the top looks like. Looks very much like the top of a single crochet, doesn't it? See? I will continue doing this, where you just knit the next stitch and then knit these two together. Like that. And I will meet you almost at the end of this row. And we can go from there. All right, so we are almost to the end. I only have a couple stitches left to go. We're just going to continue to do what we've been doing. Knitting the next stitch, and then knitting the 2 stitches together. And so on. And then when we get to the last stitch, we're going to do a little kind of a flattening trick. And I will show you how we're going to do that. It's going to involve the crochet hook. Ooh, man. I'm getting really fumbly because my hands are really sore. Knitting always makes my hands hurt really bad, so, you know, we're down to the last stitch. So we're going to take that very last stitch. We're going to knit it. We're going to knit those 2 stitches together. Now we have 1 stitch left. We're going to swap out the crochet hook for the knitting needles. We're so done with those knitting needles. And then this last, see how there's kind of a little gappy thing right there? We're going to go over here where it looks like it's a single crochet. We're going to put our hook in. We're going to slip stitch to join. And we're going to do that one more time. It just helps flatten that part out a little bit. And then we can cut this beautiful multicolored that I have enjoyed working so much. It is just stunning. And then we are going to knot that off. Now, it's time for the turquoise. And I have to totally frog this because you guys saw what happened at the beginning of the video. I have to frog it because we had that whole issue where the video disappeared. It's all good. We're gonna frog, frog, frog. This part is back to pretty much the beginning where we're just doing half double crochets, but we're only gonna do, let me double check my other bag. And we're only gonna do 1 row of half double crochets, and then we're gonna learn the star stitch. In case you have never done the star stitch, once again, slip knot, pull it tight. And then once again, we're going to go back a couple stitches. Before we did the 2 slip stitches, we are going to attach this with a slip stitch as if we're pretending this is crochet at this point, but it's not, because that top part of that knit closed off looks like a single crochet, does it not? So we're going to pretend that's a single crochet, and we're just going to single crochet. Well, we're not going to single crochet. We're going to half double crochet. So where we slip stitch to connect, we chained 1. We're going to half double crochet in that stitch. We're going to go over our tail so that we don't really have to weave that in later. And then right here is going to be a little bit complicated because those are some slip stitches, but we can still squeeze our hook where the slip stitches are and put a half double crochet. And in the next one, this one's a little bit tighter. Put another half double crochet. And then we also have the multicolored tail we're going to work over on top of here too. And we're just going to half double crochet around. Make sure you go over the tail so we don't have more work to weave those in later. And in the top of every one of those closed off knit stitches where we bind it off, we're going to put a half double crochet. I'm pulling them a little bit tight just because knit is looser than crochet. It's a little bit more stretchy. So I kind of want this to pull the knit back in a little bit so it's not so, baggy. So just make sure, get that tail out of the way, you're going through both of those loops here to do your stitch. And half double crochet around. Try to get all those little pieces. If you have these little strings that are hanging out towards the end, you can zip them back that way with a needle, or you can cut them off. I have never had anything just come out entirely after doing it this way. And we'll just leave those out and cut them. So that's what that should look like. We attach the half double crochets to the knit. Now at the end of this row, we are going to slip stitch to join, just because the next stitch is going to be a star stitch, and we want that star stitch to have like a flat even row all the way around. You don't want to join that in the round. It will not work out very well for you. So we're going to join this one at the end of the row with a slip stitch, and then we'll chain up to do the star stitch. And it's going to be pretty. If you don't want to do the star stitch, if you don't like the star stitch, if you're having trouble with the star stitch, you can skip it and just do half doubles. I have no problem with that. I always encourage you guys to do what makes you happy, you know. Change this up, do different stitches. That's why I showed you guys how you can just do this panel as single crochet, because I know not everyone wants to knit. Not everybody likes knitting. Not everybody can knit. Well, I believe everybody could knit if they wanted to, but I'm not going to, you know, force that on people. They don't have to. That's why I gave you an option for single crochet. And I would love if you guys do a single crochet panel to share that photo with me, because I would really like to see what that looks like and maybe share that picture so that, you know, the ones that don't knit can see what that looks like. So if you don't mind, if you're making this with single crochet, share the picture in my Facebook group. You can email it to me just so that I can share it so that people can see, like, hey, this is what it looks like. I would totally have had my sister make one of these if she didn't already have her hands full, because she's here and I know that she could whip up one of these bags really easily, but she's got her hands full. That baby keeps her on her toes, can I tell you? I mean, don't get me wrong, that is a good baby. That baby is so well behaved. But she's 5 months old. We all know what that's like. It's just nice that there's been so many extra hands. That looks so pretty together. These colors are gorgeous. Colors are gorgeous. See, now that I'm at the crocheting part, I'm a little bit more excited because that knit took several hours. I sat down today and I was like, oh yeah, it should only take me like 3 or 4 hours to do this whole tutorial. I was very cocky with myself. This was at like 9 o'clock this morning and it is now 4 o'clock and we're still going, so I got very cocky and overzealous and I thought, oh yeah, no problem, I'll be done in a couple hours. So now I'm time crunching myself because this is due to be posted tomorrow. And I'm questioning whether I'm going to be able to finish it tonight and get it uploaded. So if this video was late today, now you know why. It's because I want to be Superwoman, but I'm not. I really love this color, this carnival colorway. And that turquoise just makes it pop. I like the fuchsia too, but I like the fuchsia less than I like the turquoise. And I totally think like the green would have been pretty with this. You know? Not that the fuchsia, don't get me wrong, that fuchsia is beautiful. I'm just thinking all the different things that I could be doing. And we do have, because I knit, I have about a half a ball of the multicolored left over. So if I wanted to make the drawstring out of the multicolored, I absolutely could. But I like that multicolored so much, I think I'm going to make myself some sort of headband or like a head scarf. My little do-rag pattern that I done a while back. I think it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I did a do-rag pattern. And I just think that would be so pretty. It was a little head scarf. Cue the Christmas clock. Now we're approaching the beginning of the row. We are going to slip stitch to join when we get there. Oop. And that was the exact amount that we pulled out for the mess up at the beginning of the video. So now I gotta pull some more. Pull, 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 pull. All right, now we're going to slip stitch to start the next row. I'm going to chain 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now that's how we start the row for the slip stitch. We are going to go into the next chain and pull up a loop. We're going to go to this bottom chain and pull up a loop. There should be 3 loops on there. We're going to go where we chained out of and pull up a loop. That is 4. We're going to the next 2 stitches and pull up a loop in each of those stitches. So there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's just for the first one. I'm going to pull through all of those, chain 1. Okay, now this is the part that gets a little wonky and a little confusing. For me, I've done the stitch so many times it's easy to me. Where we just chained our 1 at, we're going to go into that and pull up a loop. And in here, this front leg, see how there's all these legs that are like a little starburst? In this very front leg, we're going to go in and pull up a loop. So now we have 3, okay? And make sure you pull them up so that they're all level here. Then, where that leg came out of, guess what? We're going to pull up a loop. Okay, now we got 4. And then we are going to go into the next 2 stitches. 1, 2, and pull up loops. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 loops. Make sure they're all pulled up enough so that they're flat. Otherwise, the stitches will pull in on each other, and this row will look skinnier than the rest. So you gotta make sure you're pulling up on those loops, and then pull through all of them. Chain 1. We're gonna do it again. Go in the hole we just created from the chain. Go into this first leg. See how there's 2 of the first leg? Pull up a loop. Make sure you pull it up. Where the leg came out of, you're going to pull up a loop. And then in the next 2 stitches, we're going to pull up a loop and pull up a loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull through all of them. Chain 1. Pardon my oldest niece for screaming. Even her uncle's yelling at her. Shut up. That baby just fell asleep. That baby just fell asleep. Her Tia is going to kill her. By the way, Tia is Mexican for aunt. So that's mostly what we call paprikas. We call her Tia. So we're going to go back into the hole where we chained. Pull up a loop. Go into that first leg. Pull up a loop. Where the leg came out of, we're going to pull up a loop and then pull up 2 loops. In the next 2 stitches, you should have 6 loops. Pull through all of them. Make sure you do this as loosely as you can. You don't want these tight. And we're going to do it again. See the little... look at this like a sun. Okay, this is part of the sun. These are the sun beams. This is the eye of the sun. You got to go in the eye. The first set of legs. Where the legs came out of. And then the next 2 stitches. There. Then pull through all 6. Chain 1. And proceed to do that over and over again till you get to the end of the row. Okay. So see how this is kind of just laying flat and it's squared off? It's kind of squared off. You want this. make sure these are loose enough to do that. If it starts pulling in like this, you're too tight. You're going to have to frog it and pull it back, or else that's going to be so tight. Your stitches, like on the edge here, instead of it being flat, it will come in several inches like that, and it will just not be pretty. So make sure you are definitely loose doing this stitch. So the eye of the sun, first set of legs, where the legs came out of, and the next 2 stitches, pull through all 6, chain 1. All right, so we made it all the way around. We only have 2 stitches here left. So what I do is I don't count. You guys know I don't count stitches. I just fudge this part. This part does not have to be an exact measure. If you are not right where you're supposed to be, if there's not enough stitches here, just fudge it. It's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the eye. I'm going to go into the front legs. I'm going to go in where the legs came out. And then I'm going to go into this stitch. And this stitch is technically a false stitch. So what I'm going to do is actually go up into the beginning chains of the first. I mean, you can go into the false stitch if you want. I like coming up here because it makes it look more like the rest of the stitches. And just grab that 6th loop. Pull through all of them. Do your chain 1. Now we're going to slip stitch right in that top part of the previous row. Now this is not a complete star stitch. Now we have to go through in the eye of the sun again and put 2 single crochets all the way around. So you got to pull your stitches apart. Here's an eye, there's an eye, there's an eye. We're going to do 2 single crochets in each eye. So there's 2 in there. Oops. Pull it apart if you need to. Find the eye. Put 2 single crochets in the next eye. Go over to that next eye. 2 single crochets. And just do that all the way around. And when you get to the beginning of the row right here, if you're having a hard time seeing that, put a stitch marker in your first stitch. Slip stitch to join. And then we'll come back and we'll go from there. Alright, we are back around. And the two single crochets in the eye of the sunburst actually just finishes off the starburst or the sun effect. So that's why the 2 single crochets go in each eye of the star or eye of the sun. See, now we got to the end of the row. There's a sun here, and that's the one that we like fudged a little bit. So I'm just going to put 1 single crochet in that and slip stitch to join. Now we're going to chain 1, and the next 2 rows are just going to be half double crochets. But since you guys have been doing this already, you don't really need to be shown how to do the half double crochet row, do you? No? All right. So we're going to do 2 rows of half double crochet, and then we're going to follow that up with another star stitch row. And I think you guys can do that on your own as well, because I already showed you how to do this star stitch row. So 2 rows of star stitch, or no, 2 rows of half double crochet. Put in another row of the star stitch like we did here, exactly like we did here. So if you need to be refreshed, just rewind to this part and redo that. And then I will come back and I will show you how to put in the drawstring row. So we're going to do 2 rows of double crochet. Write this down. 2 rows half double crochet, because I keep saying double. 2 rows half double crochet, a row of star stitch, follow that up with another row of half double crochet, and then we will do, I will come back and I will show you the drawstring row. 2 rows of half double crochet, a star stitch row, another half double crochet row, and I'll meet you back. All right, we should be all caught up. I had to take a small break to finish cooking dinner and then to eat dinner. So we have, as a recap, half double crochet row, the 2 rows that compile of the star stitch, 2 rows of half double crochet, the 2 rows that make the star stitch, and then another row of half double crochet. We are now on to the, let me show you the bag so you know what we're going to be doing. We are going to be working on the drawstring bag here, which is 3 double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochet. That will give us the hole to feed the drawstring through. So to do that, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, oops, 2, 3. In the next stitch, we're going to put a double crochet. And in the next stitch, we're going to put a double crochet. We are going to chain 1. If I can keep my hook in the stitches, skip 1, skip the next one, and then put another 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches. And I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear noise. On the other side of my door is the dining room, and all of my family is still sitting at the dining room table conversing because the babies are still eating. All right, so we got our 3, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches. The reason we did the double crochets instead of the half double that we've been doing is so that this is a taller opening, so that we have room for the drawstring to feed through easily. Chain 1, skip 1, and I'm going to tell you right now, because we have not been counting stitches, we're not worried about counting stitches. If your stitch count is off when you get to the end of this, it's not a big deal. As long as you have the holes here and something separating the holes to feed the drawstring through, it will all work out. I'm going to chain 1, skip 1, double crochets, 3 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 3 stitches, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches, chain 1, skip 1, 3 double crochets. We're just going to do this all the way around. This is going to be our drawstring row, and my camera is tilting again. Chain, whoop, I missed a stitch somewhere. Children. I need to pause to yell at them to be quiet. They're having too much fun. All right. We're going to continue this across. We're going to make our drawstring section. The next row is a half double crochets again. So when we get done with this, we're just going to do half double crochet row again to top off the bag. Three, chain 1. So that's what your row should look like. You should have 3 sticks followed by a hole, 3 sticks followed by a hole, all the way around. And we'll meet you at the end of the row. All right, so we got to the end. I'm going to chain 1. And we have exactly 3 stitches left. So because of that, we're going to chain 1, and instead of skipping 1, we're just going to put double crochets in the next 3 stitches. Or you could chain 1 and skip 1 and only put 2 double crochets. Then chain 1, and then we're going to slip stitch, because that will be our other chain space hole there. So we fudged in 2 chain spaces, which is not a big deal, because like I said, this is going to be a drawstring row. So the drawstring's going to pull through there. You're going to pull it tight. It's not going to matter that there's 2 extra spaces there. And you can also do like 2 decreases in the next row if you so choose. but I don't think that's going to be necessary at all. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to half double crochet in every stitch around. So every double crochet, get a half double crochet. In every chain space, you can put a double crochet. So just go around and put a half double in every space, including that chain space. And then half double crochet all the way around. Now, if you wanted this to be a little bit taller, you could go another couple rows with the half double crochet. I'm going to call it quits with this. I think, let me double check. Yeah, this is going to be my last turquoise row. I really love the color. I am off camera again. I apologize, guys. It has been a hell of a day. It has been a hell of a day. I am nearing the end of the day. I have been filming this video for, I'm going to say, what time is it? It's 7 o'clock. I have been filming since 9 o'clock. So just shy, about 10 hours I've been filming. I'm really tired. And I'm keep forgetting to be on camera. So I'm just going to keep trucking because we are in the home stretch. We are almost done with this bag. I must have forgotten how long it took me to make the first one because I really thought 3-4 hours I was going to be done. Well, I think if I just sat down and crocheted, it wouldn't have taken as long as it did today. But I had a lot of get-up breaks for, you know, mommy duty and stuff like that. I hope you are enjoying this yarn as much as I am. It's a little splitty here and there. The splittiness was not as bad when I made the first bag because I used a bigger hook. So if you find it too splitty for you, you'd use a bigger hook. Definitely use bigger needles than what I used, or use different needles. It split more with the knitting than it did with the crochet. But I really, really have enjoyed this yarn. I just like the feel of it. I like the texture. I like the squish factor of it. I mean, it's not like plush squishy, but it's got like a, I don't know, like a squish feel to it. It squishes. And I'm still thinking about, this would just make a really good like baby mat or a baby rug or any rug, honestly. I just think it would just make a nice squishy thing. This would probably make a really nice blanket too, like a heavyweight blanket. But for now, I'm just enjoying making the bag. I love these 3 colors mixed together. It's just so pretty to me. I really, really like these colors. I liked the other bag when I was working on it, but these bold colors are way more my style. And they're just making me so happy working them up. Let's see, how far are we? We're almost around the bend. Now I am going to I'm going to make the drawstring out of the fuchsia color. I am going to make the handle and the trim on this in the multicolored yarn. And so that's what we're going to work on next. I think we're going to do the trim row first, and then we will work on the handle, and then we will finish off with the drawstring. So we still have a couple of components left to the bag, but the main part of the bag is just about done, which is a huge relief to me. All right, we are almost there. Almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. All right, now we can cut the blue. We're done. Go back to, and like I said, if you wanted to add another row or two and use all of that up, you absolutely can do that. But I find this bag to be a good size with the height that I have it at now. Let me see. Let me do a quick measure. Top to bottom without the trim, it's just about 12, almost 13 inches tall. And then the trim is going to add about another inch. So we are going to do yet another row of half double crochet. I know you're probably sick of half double crochets at this point. You can do double crochets if you want. You're not going to bother me none. I'm going to go back. You can actually attach this anywhere. I just like to keep my strings together so that I know where we're at, where everything's at. Chain one. Actually, yeah. Half double crochet all the way around. This is like the top border row. There's going to be one more row after this of a border row that is not going to be half double crochets. It's a pretty little, it gives the top row like almost like a little bit of a Ripley border, what we're going to do. And yeah, you guys don't need to see me do another whole row of half double crochets. Just attach the multicolored, do a row of half doubles, and then I will show you the final border row in just a few moments. All right, I'm approaching the end of the half double crochet row. We are going to slip stitch to join, as we have done for this whole top part of the bag. Chain one. Now this is just a little, it's not difficult, but it's different, and I have not seen a lot of people do this type of border, but it is definitely not a new concept. This concept has been around for quite a while. We are going to single crochet where we chained out of, chain one, do not skip one, single crochet in the next stitch, chain one, single crochet in the next stitch, chain one, single crochet in the next stitch. You're just going to do this all the way across. Usually when you chain one, you skip one, but no. What we're doing is we're adding an extra little chain, and it just gives it a little boop, boop, boop. Just chain one, single crochet all the way across. No skipping. Get all of your stitches in there. That's all there is to this final. And then when you get to the end of the row, slip stitch to join. And then we will work on the handle, and we will work on the drawstring, and we will be done with this bag, and then we can go about our merry way, and we can have a good time with our bag. Take it to the beach, take it to the pool, take it to the doctor's office, carry around your yarn in it, whatever you feel like doing with this little bag. This would also make a good gift bag, like if you're gonna make something or buy something for like a teenager, loved one, like a kid or something. This would be good wrapping paper, reusable wrapping paper. I have actually crocheted wrapping paper before. crocheted a bag that tied closed, and I put one of Mr. Cinnamon's gifts in it. He actually still has the bag to this day. It was custom made to fit over the gift that I bought him. So, and the bag is a gift in itself, so you just like make this bag and like put like a cool beach towel in there and some flip-flops or, you know, something like that. For your grands or your nieces and nephews or your children or whoever. I can tell you from experience, little man loves bags like this. He loves bags anyway. He loves putting stuff in bags. So like he will get a whole gathering of toys downstairs, and when it's time to take them upstairs, he fills his bag and carries all of his stuff back up the stairs so he's not making multiple trips back and forth. But he also will take, like if he has video game accessories, he will put them in a bag and pretty much take them wherever he wants to go. Or he has train parts, so he'll put the train tracks and the trains in a bag so that they're kept together. You would never know by looking at how dirty his bedroom is, because he is constantly throwing stuff everywhere. That he likes somewhat to be organized with his bags. But he's also 7 and likes throwing stuff all over the house. So we're just going to do this till the beginning, and I will be back and I will show you how to do the drawstring and the handle. Alright, that part is done. Got that nice little wavy border to it. We are going to now work on the strap. I'm going to show you the other bag because I wanted to remind you what that strap looks like. There's 2 different ways you can do this strap. Now, this one, as you can see, I did a chain 3. I folded the bag flat. So I folded the bag flat first, and then, I mean, you could measure with a tape measure. I did a chain 3, and then I did 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, all the way until it reached from one end of the bag to the other. Or you can measure the bag from one end of the bag to the other. My bag is just about 14 inches from one end to the other. So that's one way you could do it, is this way. So crocheting, chain 3, 3 double crochet, 3 double crochet, 3. You could do it that way until you reach the full width of your bag when you lay it flat like this. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm actually going to chain this way, and I'm going to do a row or 2 of double crochets or half double crochets. I think I'm going to do double crochets because we're going to stick with what this looks like. And we're going to make it the width of this bag. So now I got to measure this bag because this bag is a different size. This bag is 15 inches. So I need 15 inches for this bag. This color is so pretty. Oh my goodness. I need 15 inches. I probably should have left my tape measure out, huh? Just stick that right there. And I'm using the variegated. If you don't want the strap to be variegated, you don't have to. You can do the turquoise or whatever your top color is, because that's what we had the most left over of, is the top 2 layers. It doesn't matter what you do, like whatever you want, whatever color you want to make your strap. And you can make it that way where it's 3 and then you just crochet the short rows back and forth. Or you can do it this way where we are going to just chain a length of 15 inches. Did I say 14 or 15? I done forgot already. 15. I'm going to chain 15 inches. 15 inches. Perfect. Wow, pretty good. I did stretch it out a little bit to reach 15, but it's fine. It's fine. So I chained it to 15 inches. Now I'm going to chain 1, 2, and you see how I did that? I pinched it at 15 inches and then I chained an additional 2. Where I pinched, I'm just going to put a double crochet. Double crochet all the way across. All the way across. Just double crochet. And it doesn't have to be the full 15 inches when this is done being crocheted, because it will stretch out a little bit. Because it has a little bit of a stretch to it. Not as much as when you chain 3 and you crochet it this way instead of this way. It is more stretchy the other way, not this way. This has a little more structure to it. That's very pretty. I like this watercolor yarn because between knit and now we've seen single crochet and half double crochet, and now we're looking at this yarn double crochet. You're getting an idea of what this yarn looks like in all the stitches, because it's different. No matter what stitch you use, it's different. And I'm kind of liking it. I really love this watercolor-y. I'm probably going to end up buying some more of this. I just like this colorway so much. I mean, look at that. It reminds me of like that movie Princess and the Frog, Princess Tiana. These are like some bayou colors. You got the green for the frogs, the pink and the purple and the blues for the princessy type stuff. It's just making me think of that. Funny story, Princess Tiana still is Juliana's favorite princess, because for a long time she just wanted to own a restaurant. She wanted to cook. She wanted to be a chef. And so she related to Princess Tiana in a lot of ways. And now, even still, like as she's grown up, she relates to Princess Tiana's work ethic in the work harder, not work hard, play harder. She just works and works. And I have to remind her that it's okay to stop and play. Because sometimes I have to remind myself that it's okay to stop and play. But yeah, when that movie first came out, one of the characters' names is the same last name as my 2 nieces. And then Mama Odie is a character in that book, or in that movie, and Hermione's middle name is O'Day, which is spelled like Odie. And so then the snake's name was Juju. And so it was like, if this ain't our movie, I don't know what is. Like, it's got a little bit of all of us in there. And it came out when the nieces came to live with me for the second time. So it was like, it was our movie. I think instead of doing another double crochet row, I think to pull the stitches tighter, because the chain is a little bit tight, I'm going to do a row of single crochet on top of this, just to make it a little bit wider and to pull the double crochets closer together, because I did chain really tight, which I do very often. Now, if I had done a foundationless double crochet, this would have been a problem, but I did not, so it is what it is. Chain 1, single crochet all the way across, And I may frog this. I may not like how this looks. We're going to see. We're going to play it by ear. Yeah, I don't like that. We'll leave it like it is. However, now we can attach this to our bag. And like I said, if you want to make this thicker, just do another row of double crochet. I am not pressed to do all of that. Now, we are going to attach it across where these double crochets are for the drawstring bag. So in order to attach this, we have to do our drawstring next. So before we can sew this on, leave it attached, set that to the side. We're going to do the drawstring, and the drawstring is just a chain. Very simple. Leave that a bigger, longer tail. Slip. I didn't even do the slip knot. Look at that. Wow, Jen, get with it. Did I do it right? No, dang it. I'm tired. The short tail goes on the bottom. All right, so we're going to do that. Pull that tight. I'm going to do chain. I'm going to chain that tail in a little bit too, so then I can come back and cut it instead of weaving it in, because this is just going to be a drawstring. Hold both of them. Put in. Oops, I might not be able to. Yeah, it's too loose. Oh well. Two. Just chain. We're just going to chain. And because this is about 12 inches, not 12, it's 12 feet. Because this string is about 12 feet, we are going to want this. Hopefully we can get this to chain to at least 35 inches, I hope. Hopefully we have enough drawstring. Because we need it long enough, because the bag is 15 inches on each side when folded flat, so we need it to be at least 30 to fit all the way through the bag, but we want the 35 so it hangs out of the bag so that we can tie it. So we'll see. Try to chain tight, because this is going to be our drawstring. So try to chain as tight as you can. It just gives it a little more strength. Just chain until you get to the end of that 12 feet and hope there's enough. If not, we'll just have to go back and use the blue. Because we are out of this purple after this. This is the same thing that happened with the first bag. It's like I only had just enough purple left to make the drawstring, and then that was it. I'm going to try to get as many chains as I can on this end. And that's going to be it. Knot it. Well, I think that'll be long enough, I hope. Let's fold it in half and measure. See how far we got. We got 20 inches. So 20 times 2 is 40. Should be long enough. Now, let's feed it through. Determine where you were doing your connecting of the rows. This is going to be the back of your bag. So, make sure you find the back of your bag. Find the square part, the flat part. Go up the middle. So we connected the rows over here. So that's fine. Now, we are going to pick a spot and put it through the holes like this. So we want one through each of those holes, like that. And then you're just going to weave it in and out. In and out. all the way around the bag till you get to the front where they meet in the middle somewhere. And I'm just going to feed this through the back right now so that I can show you guys how to sew on the strap. Just leave it like that for now. Now we're going to come back on with our little strap, which now that I'm looking at it, I'm debating whether I want to make it another thickness. We're just going to go with it. We're going to go with it. We're going to lay it across. We're going to stretch it from side to side. Okay. You're going to find this spot over here where the last double crochet is. Don't sew it to one that has this going over. You want it where the drawstring is going under. And we are going to, let me make sure we're on the screen. We are going to single crochet this around the post like that. Single crochet around the 2 posts. 2, 3, and I think I'm gonna put one more in and connect it into the chain of the beginning of the row like that. Connect that in nice and tight. Cut that. We can sew it in really good. Leave a long tail so that if you want to come back through and reinforce that by just running a stitch in and out, you can do that, but that's on there. All right, now stretch it out. Go to the other side. We're gonna do the same thing. Make sure it is pulled across the whole length, and we're gonna connect it right there. A slip stitch to join it to here first. A slip stitch to join it here, and then we're going to go find this one right here. It's the closest one to the edge where it's not doesn't have the drawstring going over the top of it, and we will connect it around that post with single crochets. 1, whoop, and 2, and 3, and a 4th for good measure. Make sure you get it through that top part of the stitch for security. Give us an extra long tail so that we can sew it more if we choose, or otherwise we can just slip stitch it down. There we have it. That is the end of the bag. We got the strap that lays flat. It is connected on either ends. I just got to sew. I'm going to do a little extra reinforcing to sew that down. And come back to the front and finish weaving in our drawstring, which could probably be a little bit longer, but I mean, it's a bag. It doesn't need to be anything extra. And if you want a longer drawstring than what I have created, perfectly fine by me. See, that was perfect. It touches, it drawstrings. And to deal with the ends down here, what I do is I take and I fold it like that, or I do like I'm tying a knot on the end, really good and tight right at the end. And then you can do another one right at the end. Oh, I missed. Oh well, we can do one more. I tied the knot wrong. Make this a little bit bigger so that it doesn't fall through the hole as easily. There we go. That's better. You can cut the string off, not cut the string off, doesn't matter. Tie 1, tie 2, and tie 3. Make sure that you're knotting on top of the other knots. Here we go. Cut the string. And we have a drawstring bag with a lay flat handle. It's cute. It's pretty. It's got the box bottom. Oh, and I am exhausted and I'm going to go directly to bed once I'm not even going to sew those in. Let's be real. Isn't that pretty? Thank you so much for bearing with me today. Thank you for making this bag along with me. Please, if you make one, show me. I want to see what colors you picked. I want to see what differences you make. Like if you did the single crochet here, I want to see that. I had a lot of fun making this for you. And I will see you hopefully tomorrow for a Pee-Yow video featuring Paprika's Pee-Yow! And I will see you then. Bye, guys.